Good afternoon, everyone. Please take your seats. Excited to welcome you to the closing plenary of NACTO 17. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Come on in and take your seats. There's some seats up front here. I am delighted to welcome to the stage Chris Wheat, Chicago's Chief Sustainability and Resilience Officer, who's going to introduce our closing speaker. Chris.
Good afternoon. Let's try this again. Good afternoon. I know, so one of the worst places you want to be on a schedule is either right after lunch or right before the bar opens. And so I know that I'm in a tough spot right now. So I do want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for choosing Chicago. I'm sure many of you had to miss trick-or-treating last night. So I did bring all of my children's candy, which you're welcome to take part of after this discussion. I do want to take a moment and acknowledge the hard work that Chicago DOT puts in all the other days when they're not planning conferences, all the amazing tours and workshops you've seen. We didn't just like make all this stuff last week, right? And so it really takes a tremendous amount of work, and it truly makes coming to work for me easier to have people like Rebecca Scheinfeld and Luann Hamilton and their teams who tirelessly work to make Chicago a little better every day. So on behalf of the 2.7 million residents in Chicago, I want to thank all of you and all the staff at Chicago DOT for everything that you do. So about a month ago, I was in the previous NACTO host city of Seattle. I was on a panel with my counterpart in Seattle, Jessica Finn-Coven, and Mayor Gregor Robertson from Vancouver. And we were asked by the moderator, which city did we admire most? And so I spoke before Mayor Robertson, which was an incredible feat in and of itself, a staffer speaking before a mayor. And I talked about Paris. And I talked about how Paris is really an amazing model of how a city's assets and a city's infrastructure can be democratized and really be given back to the people. And as we look forward to hosting Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo back to Chicago here in December to talk about how all the cities need to come together to reduce carbon emissions and improve quality of life no matter what happens at the federal level. And so much of Paris's work and leadership on environmental issues has really been around championing alternative modes of transportation and can be attributed to the gentleman who I have the honor of introducing this afternoon, Paris Deputy Mayor Christophe Najdovski. Najdovski? What?
Hello, and first of all, I would like to thank you for your invitation. It's a great honor to be here with you, and a privilege also for me to speak at NACTO's Designing Cities conference here in Chicago. So if, yes, the technology works, okay. Where do we come from? Let's see where do we come from. In the 20th century, the city must adapt to its cause. That was the sentence pronounced by a former French president in the 70s called Georges Pompidou, who gave his name to the highway who was built on the banks of the River Seine and that you can see at the left of the picture. This policy of transportation and traffic brought us to all the cities all over the world, congestion and air pollution, and the decrease of walking and biking. And as mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel said yesterday, you cannot have a 21st century economy built on a 20th century foundation. And I think that is particularly true for the transportation system. So we have now to improve air quality, we have to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases, and that means developing as a priority public transport and also active mobility, active transportation, meaning biking and walking. It is, of course, a question of transportation policy, but also it is a matter of public health. So what are we doing for this? I would like briefly to talk about rapid transit. Rapidly, here are some examples of the projects that we are implementing now in Paris. Firstly, the loop of the tramway around the city. The tramway has a great success. Before the tramway, it was a bus line transporting 100,000 people a day, and now the tramway is transporting 330,000 people a day. And while the traffic of buses increases by 1 or 2% a year, the traffic of the tramway is increasing by 5 to 7% each year. So we have the project to finish the loop by 2020. Other perspective, secondly, we are engaged to the energetic transition of the fleet of buses and coaches. By 2025, the fleet of the 4,500 buses will be all converted in electric or biogas buses. And for the needs of school transportation, we launched 2 years ago a tender with no diesel coaches, and the first 12 coaches that you can see below on left have been delivered last month, so that we can now transport students from our schools in non-polluting conditions. Thirdly, as you can see on the slide, the metro and regional train network has been built as a star network here at the left with radial lanes leading to the center. The network will be completed by the project of the Grand Paris Express, with 200 kilometers new metro lines around Paris. You can see at the right slide. It represents an investment of 25 billion euros, mainly made by the national government, for an expected delivery between 2022 and 2013. So in 2030, we will have 88% of the inhabitants of the Greater Paris, which represents 7 million people, who will be at least 2 kilometers of a heavy mode of transportation, train, metro or tramway. So no more car will be needed at that time at a metropole scale. I was wondering to explain you how we are doing our work for the rapid transit, but I wanted to focus more on active transportation, because I know that is also the main subject of your conference. So that means biking and walking, and how we try to build a livable city. Nowadays, actually, we see that the half of the commuters and the commutes made by car every day in Paris are less than 10 kilometers. That is a distance for rapid transit or for biking. And this is why we are implementing a continuous network of bike lanes. So in 2015, we adopted a plan for biking, and with an investment of 150 million euros by 2020. And the goal of this plan is to have a continuous and a safe network. We will double the total length of the bicycle lanes from 700 kilometers today to 1,400 kilometers by 2020. I will explain you how. To create an express cycling network to cross Paris from north and south and from east to west. You can see it in pink on the map. Also to have bike parking spaces and stations, and also developing bike culture and bike schools. The new bicycle plan provides for many bicycle facilities. 80-kilometer long cycling expressway is planned on the same model as London cycle superhighways, and the main axes are designed as a two-way separated cycle lanes. The new infrastructure will reduce urban obstacles such as River Seine, the railway network, the ring road, and offer a cycling continuity between Paris and its suburbs by improving the ways of entering to Paris. So let's see what it's about. Here's an example of the cycle express network called, in French, Réseau Express Vélo. The initials can be read REV, rêve, and rêve means dream in French. This bike lane was built last summer on more than 3 kilometers on the west entry of Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower, but you can also see the Parisian Statue of Liberty, which is a small replica of the statue offered by France to the United States. So you can have a unique point of view each day when you go to work, and a lot of cyclists send us emails or messages on Twitter with pictures with their trip to Paris to tell us that is really a dream to come through to cycle to Paris with this cycle lane. And maybe it's also a way to celebrate our friendship, so to have that bike lane on that side of Paris. What it was before, it was just an expressway. It is called Georges Pompidou, the former president I told you about a few minutes ago. And what it is now, this is a picture taken before the opening of the cycle lane. It was opened on the 1st of October. This picture was taken in September, I think. This is a 3-meter large bike lane on 3 kilometers and for, of course, commuters. It was also a controversial project. We must admit that, because we removed one lane for the cars, but we have the support of most of the people for developing also and sharing the public space with that kind of project. Another example of our express network along the River Seine with a bike lane built in 2015. It is another section. It is a 4-meter wide bike lane. The aim is to bring a big capacity for transit. We are designing the bike lanes not just for today, but also for tomorrow, for maybe 15, 20 or 30 years. So we have also to anticipate, but also to provoke the future flow of cyclists. Here is another example, another section realized last year. Instead of a car lane, formerly the bike lane was on the sidewalk, and there were conflicts with pedestrians. So now we are systematically trying to reduce the place of cars and give it to bikes, to pedestrians, and also to public transport. This is a picture of our mayor, Anne Hidalgo, on another section of the express network. It's a picture was taken a month ago. As you can see, the bike lane is very, very large. It's here it's 4 meter large, and it allows the possibility for all people to bike in safe conditions. Another project of our express network runs in the center of the city, in the Rivoli Street. The Rivoli Street, you can see a picture of what is now. It is actually in works, so I can't show you the bike lane, but I can show you what is the project. It is an iconic also project of our mandate, also controversial, but essential. Essential because the cyclists are sharing actually the space with the buses, as you can see. It wasn't a problem with the number of cyclists when the number was low, but as it has increased, the cohabitation becomes difficult, and both cyclists and bus drivers want separated lanes, so the next network will respond at that demand. So here is what it would look like. We will reduce the traffic from 2 lanes to 1 lane in the center of the city. Some people are telling us that we are doing bike lanes only for the Parisians because it is in the center of the city. But that's not true, because here on Rivoli Street are arriving 750,000 people every day on the central station of trains and metros. So they can also use a bike, for example, a shared bike, to finish their trip to go to work instead of being in the saturated metros or trains. We are also have to improve the intermodality between the different modes of transportation to improve also the quality of the modes. Another example of what we are doing on smaller streets to develop bike lanes, we systematically allow the possibility for bikes to go on both directions with contraflow cycling lanes. You can see the sign of no entry except bikes and the horizontal marking for bikes. So it makes biking easier. You don't have to turn around the whole block of streets, and it reduces also the speed of cars. On these streets, the speed limit of cars is reduced from 50 kilometers per hour to 30 kilometers per hour, so we can make these contraflow cycling lanes. It represents 600 kilometers of the 700 kilometers of our global bike lane plan by 2020. So it will be the main part of our plan. Here's another example on a wider street, which a speed limit has been already reduced to 30 kilometers, and the marking on the contraflow bike lane is here continuous. Another example of what we are doing for developing biking is the bike sharing system. Since 2007, the bike share system Velib has raised a great success in Paris. We have 20,000 bikes, 300,000 subscribers, 100,000 users by day, and also 1,000 stations. So there is one station every 300 meters. We have an attendance peak in the morning between 8.5 and 9.5. So there are commuters using the bike sharing system. But we have also a use by night after the closing of the metros, after 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. on the Fridays and Saturdays. So the bike, the Velib, appears also as a public transport and mode of transportation. In 2018, in January, so in less than 2 months, Velib will be extended to the area of the Greater Paris, including 68 other municipalities with Paris, and representing 5 million inhabitants. The number of stations will pass from 1,000 to 1,400, with two sorts of bikes: the mechanic, the green one, you can see here, and the electric, the blue one. 30% of the bikes will be electric, with the possibility to increase the percentage at the future. We expect a lot of the new system, especially with the electric bikes, which allows you to drive to 25 kilometers per hour. That means 15 miles per hour, and to go to work with it. And we think that the electric bikes have a great potential for daily trips for distances from 1 kilometer to 20 kilometers. Another aspect of our policy is making a walkable city and making also our cities livable. Here is the Place de la République, the Republic Square. It was redesigned in 2013, and our policy has the goal also to make the streets not just places to get from a point A to a point B the most quickly, but there are also, and maybe mainly, places to stay and to live. And our principle in redesigning is a better share of public space, improving the walkability of the streets and the city. It is also to reverse our point of view. That means designing the streets starting from the pedestrians and the facades and sidewalks, and not starting from the traffic. So here's what was the Republic Square before and what it is now. You can see at the left what it was before. It was a big roundabout. Now it's a real square. The principle has been to attach the center of the square to a facade and to reorganize the general traffic to the side, on the side of the square. Some opponents said before it will be chaos for the traffic, but it is not the case. The place is now very appreciated by pedestrians. It is also a place where people can land and rest. You can see families with children, you can playing. You can see teenagers skating. You can see older persons sitting on the benches. And this is how we are trying to make also our cities more livable. You have some other pictures with what it was before and what it is now. We have also, by 2020, the plan to redesign 7 other main squares in Paris, giving 50% more space to pedestrians and cyclists. It is a 40 million euro investment in our budget. Here's another place. It's called Place de la Nation Square. You can see it's also a roundabout today, a large roundabout. And what is the project? Actually, the garden, which is in the center of the square, is theoretically accessible to all, but in fact, it isn't. So to make the city more inclusive for all, we are redesigning the square by increasing the area of the central garden. We are making it more accessible by creating more crosswalks for pedestrians. We have adopted a simple principle: no crossing longer than 12 meters instead of 24 meters before. So it allows the possibility for all pedestrians to cross the road in one time and makes the central garden more accessible to everyone. We are also making guide strips for blind or visually impaired people to make all the square accessible. We are also working with the principle of tactical urbanism. We make a prefiguration of the future design. Actually, the central roadway, as I told you, has been reduced from 24 meters to 12 meters, and we look how it works. And it works. There are no more traffic jams than the past with a larger roadway. And what we see since 6 months, it has been redesigned, is that we see more people in the central garden, especially families with children, and it becomes a new playground for the children. Another iconic place of Paris, the Bastille place, the Bastille Square. As you can see now, it is also a big roundabout, like Republic Square was before. And we have the same project like in Republic Square by attaching the center of the square to the Arsenal Harbor, which leads to the River Seine. So this is the project. I can't show you a prefiguration because it has not yet begun, but this is how we are planning to redesign the square. So from a roundabout to an attached square. And it will make also a promenade from the channel also to the right bank of the River Seine. Another example, Place du Panthéon, Panthéon Square. There was just a pedestrian place in front of the monument before, but as you can see, there were parking for cars along the building, which is a university. And the students didn't have any place where to go and where to stay. So we removed the parking of the cars located on the sides of the monument and created a place with seats of stone just put on the ground. This picture was taken a few weeks ago at the beginning of the student year, and new uses are appearing, and the Panthéon Square is now a living square. Another project, Place d'Italie, Italy Square. It's the same situation like in Nation Square. I will not be too long about that, but we have the same project to make also the central garden more accessible. Another perspective for our policy is also to share the public space through time. This is an example of what we are doing every Sunday. Paris Respire means Paris is breathing. Each Sunday, on a large part of the 20 districts of Paris, some streets are temporarily pedestrianized and given to people. So here's the map of our about 20 sectors and zones in Paris, and we are trying to have at least one zone and one sector in each district by 2020. Making the cities more livable means also thinking about the children. I was talking about them about Republic Square, but we have also the project Streets for Kids. Here you have an example of a small street in front of a school who's been pedestrianized a few weeks ago at the beginning of the school year in September. I heard the professor Peter Norton telling us yesterday that he explained at the lunchtime yesterday that building cities means also build cities for children. He gave us the example for children playing on the sidewalk and pictures that were telling them not to play. And with the Streets for Kids, we close to traffic. We pedestrianize small streets, especially near the schools, but not exclusively. And here is on the left an example of a street we've pedestrianized, and at the right another project of a residential street. So here is an example also of another street pedestrianized, also with the mayor Anne Hidalgo and the kids playing outside and not just at home or in the gardens. So the kids and the children have also the right to live and to stay on the streets and not to be just at home. Making also more livable cities and more inclusive cities for all is developing bike culture and allowing the possibility for children to learn how to move autonomously with bikes. So on the Square Republic, which is now pedestrianized in a large part, we are making this operation Petit Vélib, a small Vélib, in partnership with the company who operates Vélib. And it has, as you can see, a great success. And we are also developing bike schools in partnerships with associations, not just for children, but also for adults. Another example of what we are trying also to do about sharing the public space, it's a car-free Champs-Élysées. Every first Sunday, so 12 times a year. Of course, as you can see, it's overcrowded each time. Of course, in the context of the attacks, it is now secured by the police, and we have a very strong collaboration with the police department to do that event each month. But we began before the attacks, and after the attacks, we wanted to continue and not to give up this kind of event, even on the Champs-Élysées, and we know the risk there are, but we have a strong collaboration with the police department to continue that. Why to continue? The question, do you have the response here? What to continue is also to provide pleasure and well-being for people. Another example of what we are trying also to do, the car-free day. So once a year, we are closing streets to traffic, opening the streets to pedestrians and bikers. So since 2015, we reintroduced a car-free day in Paris. It was in perspective of the COP21, and we maintained that measure every year. As you can see, you can watch people with children on bikes, which is not yet common today. On an ordinary day in Paris. We are still far from Copenhagen or Amsterdam, but for one day, Paris looks like them. For one day. So this is the first year, the second year, 2016, and this year, 2017. We have widened the sector each year, And maybe we will also work with the whole region for the next year. Another picture of what it looked like. The key to have a successful day, a strong communication, also a strong preparation throughout the year, and also a nice weather. But that's maybe the main part of the key of the success or the non-success. But it is always a success. We have a spontaneous appropriation of the streets. People are happy to discover the city in other way. It's more silent, it's more calm, and also with less pollution. You can also have strange meetings, the future and the past, and also a sailboat on wheels, of course. But what is certain is whatever the weather is like, you always have cyclists. And this was this year. The weather wasn't very nice, but it was also successful. You have also the possibility to do yoga. Last but not least, I will talk to you about the banks of the river Seine. We have pedestrianized the left bank in 2013, bringing back the Riverside Expressway to pedestrians and cyclists. So this is the left bank on over 2 kilometers. We turned it to a pedestrian path for the promenade, for sport, and also for culture. And since 2013, there were 6 million visitors on the site. So it gives you just the measure of the success of the reorganization and redesigning of the left bank. So you see what it was before, just a parking and an expressway for cars, and what it is now, and how people just enjoy the place. You can have a drink. Let's have a drink, but maybe it's too early now. And after all, the right bank of the River Seine. This is the last part. This is the second step, the second act of the pedestrianization of the banks of the River Seine. Since July of last year, of 2016, the right bank of River Seine has been pedestrianized over 3.3 kilometers in the center of the city. Before, as you can see on the left, it was 40,000 vehicles traffic per day on the expressway. So it was not easy to drive this project because of the strong opposition of some lobbies, the car drivers, the municipal opposition, but also some businessmen. But despite a campaign against the pedestrianization, the support of the people increased from 55% before the pedestrianization to 63% now. And we are talking here about a question that is a public debate since 15 years. We started with pedestrianizing the right bank first on the Sunday, then 1 month on the summer. That was called Paris Plage, Paris Beach, each summer since 2002. And after 15 years of debate, and with the support of the majority of the people, we made the step to the whole pedestrianization, even if it was a very controversial project. Of course, the traffic was in part deferred to other streets, but we made, of course, surveys and projections to see if it works. And as we can see, the traffic has been absorbed by the capacities of existing streets. And it has also decreased, of course, and it decreases also each month. And we made also a survey on June this year, after 1 year of pedestrianization, and we have 25% less traffic in the center of the city. We have also 25% less pollution by nitrogen dioxide on the center of Paris, even if at some crosses we have also some traffic who has been deferred with also some difficulties and with locally an increase of the pollution. So the site is now overcrowded. We have thousands or tens of thousands of people every day. As you can see, it's the continuation of the what we have done on the left bank, and I wanted to show you this picture because since April of this year, the former expressway has been transformed into a park. It is called now the Park of the Banks of the River Seine. It is forming a park of almost 5 hectares. This picture was taken in March. I took this picture in March this year, before the opening of the park. And you can see people on the grass and the seats. It was forbidden to go, but the people wanted to go, even if it was forbidden. The Parisians are like that. They don't see the, and they don't appreciate the when it's forbidden. So people couldn't wait, and it was appropriated by people even before it was open to the public. So at the end, this is an invitation to come to Paris. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor Najdovski. That was truly inspirational and a really incredible note for us to end on. The kind of transformation that is possible with vision and commitment and leadership. And let's just reflect for a moment how incredible to shut the entire city of Paris to cars for a day. Wow. Really amazing. So before we have our crowning ceremony to reveal the next NACTO Designing Cities host city, just a few things I want to tell you. One is that this concludes our events in the event center here, but tomorrow we have more workshops. Don't come here to meet for your workshop. Please meet in the hotel lobby. Check your program for the location. Some are in the lobby, some are at the shuttle area outside, and some are at the boat launch pad. So check the map in your program. I also want to do some thank yous. This was really the work of quite a few people to make this conference possible. So I first want to thank all of the workshop leaders and the speakers and the volunteers. Thank you. Literally hundreds of people who lent their time and expertise, and thank you so much for that. Thank you to the local host committee that did a lot of fundraising for this conference, and to all the sponsors that really made this possible, including especially the Knight Foundation, which funded scholarships for a number of city staff. Thank you. I want to thank Chicago DOT for all of your time and effort and sharing all of your incredible work with us, especially Commissioner Scheinfeld, Kevin O'Malley, Luann Hamilton, Dave Seglin. Very especially, though, if you enjoyed workshops, they were the result of one person's tremendous amount of work. I can't express to you how much work he put into this. Mike Amsden, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. really a lot of work, so thank you, Mike. That was really very helpful. And I also want to thank all of the NACTO staff who lent their time and expertise, and a special huge shout out to people that you have all received many emails from. Sasha and Alex, where are you? Please stand up. Back there. Thank you. So next, I would like to invite up Chicago DOT Commissioner Rebecca Scheinfeld to reveal NACTO Designing Cities Host City 2018.
I want to echo Corinne's comments. A special thank you to all the staff. The mayor has offered that we could host this every year. He was so excited about being here. So, and I said, you know, we do have other things we're supposed to be working on. But with that said, it has really been an honor, and it is so inspiring to be part of this pop-up community, if you will, all being here the last few days. But I know that the relationships formed and the ideas shared are continuing every year to build this foundation that is getting stronger and taller and wider and broader and more diverse, and really continuing to build the work that everyone is such a part of. So it's an honor to be part of that, and thank you again for coming to our city and helping to share your ideas with Chicago. So with that, it's been a wild ride, and we're really pleased to congratulate Los Angeles for NACTO Designing Cities 2018. Monique Earl, could you please come up? We have a few gifts for you. Okay, you gotta at least do this with a picture, and then instead of the cape. Okay, here we go. Okay, and Roseanne Ferrugia did the ribbon here. We've done something that we can add badges to every year. Woo! It looks good on LA. And we look forward to seeing everybody there next year. Thank you again.
Good afternoon, NACTO. My name is Monique Earl, and I am the Assistant General Manager over Administration and Field Operations at the Los Angeles Department of Transportation. Did we have a wonderful time in Chicago or what? Let's give everyone involved in this effort a huge round of applause. I especially want to thank Commissioner Scheinfeld, Mike, Dave, and all the staff at CDOT who worked tirelessly to put on this conference. Unless you have put on a conference like this before, you have no idea what it takes. And they are so glad to give me this crown and sash because it's done. But they did an incredibly awesome job, so I want to thank them for that. From all the sessions to the welcome party where I had way too much fun, to the interesting and engaging workshops, everything was wonderful. Okay, NACTO, you heard it. Leave your beanies, gloves, scarves, all that stuff at home. We are going back to Cali. On behalf of Mayor Eric Garcetti and our very own Salita Reynolds, who had to leave a little bit early today, our partners at the City of Santa Monica and LA Metro, we are excited to host NACTO 2018. Now, it's no secret that LA has it all. An incredibly talented baseball team, no offense, Houston, sandy beaches, tall mountain peaks, and a dense urban core. We also have, as many of you know, an infamous reputation for auto dependence. That has dubbed us the most congested city in the world. But NACTO, LA is changing the game. And despite all of this, we are in the midst of undertaking one of the largest public works projects in the US to the tune of $120 billion over the next several decades to support transformative safety improvements relative to Vision Zero and multimodalism, throughout our region. The breadth and complexity of the transportation issues that we address, including bringing more equity to our workforce and procurement processes, is a unique asset to any host city, and we are excited to share our examples and things to emulate and avoid with all of you. Now, it wouldn't be LA if I didn't leave you all with a little bit of Hollywood to remind you of why you don't want to miss next year's conference. Let's roll the clip.
Got the wind in my hair, I'm driving to LA. I'm not fooling around, I'm going all the way. It's the place I've always dreamed about since I was just a girl. I've traveled near and far, but I want to be a movie star. Seen other places, but nothing beats LA. Gonna buy me some friends, I'll hit Rodeo Drive. If that doesn't excite your heart, you ain't alive. Oh, the skies are never gray if you love a sunny day. The one thing I know is nothing beats LA.
Thank you, NACTO, and we look forward to seeing you in LA.